The conversation around Caitlin Clark took a dramatic turn the moment Stephanie White confirmed that Clark would once again be on a minutes restriction. Almost instantly, the focus shifted away from the Indiana Fever's next game and towards something much bigger. Across social media, fans weren't simply debating rotations or injury management anymore. They were asking whether every decision being made in Indiana was pushing the league's biggest star further away from the franchise. That's what suddenly brought the Los Angeles Sparks back into the discussion. There is no confirmed trade, no official negotiations, and no indication that Clark is leaving Indiana. But for many fans, this latest coaching decision reopened a debate that had been quiet for weeks. Some viewed it as a necessary step to protect a recovering player, while others believed it was another example of Clark struggling to find consistent rhythm under the current system. And that split in opinion is exactly why this story has exploded again, because people aren't just reacting to one decision anymore, they're reacting to what they believe it could eventually mean. If the discussion had stopped with Indiana's coaching decisions, this probably would have remained another short-lived debate. Instead, attention quickly shifted across the country to Los Angeles, where the Sparks have quietly been building a very different kind of story. The franchise is under new majority ownership led by Mark Walter, whose sports portfolio includes championship-level organizations and a reputation for making bold, long-term investments. The Sparks also brought in Len Roberts as head coach, signaling a fresh direction centered on building a competitive roster rather than simply maintaining one. Those are confirmed organizational changes, and they have fueled excitement around the franchise's future. The speculation begins when fans start connecting those moves to Caitlin Clark. Los Angeles added Kate Martin, one of Clark's closest friends and former Iowa teammate, while already featuring proven talent like Kelsey Plum and Cameron Brink. None of those moves were announced as part of a plan to recruit Clark, and there is no evidence that the Sparks are actively pursuing a trade. Even so, many fans see the pieces and wonder if the organization is positioning itself for an opportunity somewhere down the road. Whether that interpretation is fair or not, it has become one of the biggest talking points surrounding both franchises. This is where the conversation became far more complicated. Stephanie White's decision to continue managing Caitlin Clark's workload after her injury was always going to be closely watched, but every substitution and every post-game explanation suddenly carried much more weight. White repeatedly explained that the minutes restriction was part of a careful plan to rebuild Clark's endurance, timing, and rhythm after missing time. From that perspective, the approach was about protecting the long-term health of the Fever's most valuable player rather than chasing short-term results. But not everyone interpreted those decisions the same way. Critics argued that pulling Clark out just as she appeared to be settling into the game disrupted the offense and prevented her from establishing the rhythm that has made her one of the league's most dynamic guards. Every time she headed to the bench, social media filled with clips, screenshots, and theories about what those substitutions really meant. Even ordinary coaching decisions became national talking points because of the player involved. The body language only added another layer to the discussion. Cameras captured emotional moments between Clark and White during games, and while both publicly insisted there was no personal conflict, fans continued analyzing every expression, every conversation, and every timeout. Some saw healthy competitiveness between a coach and a superstar determined to win. Others believed the visible frustration reflected deeper disagreements about how the team should play. That's why every press conference, every rotation, and every explanation now feels larger than basketball itself. It has become a debate over how a franchise should build around one of the sport's biggest stars. Then came the moments that people still can't stop replaying. One of the biggest flashpoints occurred during the Fever's game against Portland, when television cameras caught an animated exchange between Caitlin Clark and Stephanie White during a timeout. Clark was later seen walking away as the conversation ended, and within minutes the clip had spread across social media. To some viewers, it looked like the natural frustration of two highly competitive people desperate to win. Others saw it as evidence that tension inside the Fever was beginning to surface. Neither Clark nor White supported that interpretation afterward, with both indicating there was no issue beyond the emotions of a game, but the footage continued to fuel debate. The attention only intensified after several physical plays involving Clark drew widespread criticism. Hard fouls, missed calls, and heated reactions from fans once again placed officiating under the spotlight. White publicly acknowledged that some calls should have been handled differently, while Clark also said the league needed to do a better job protecting players, even as she emphasized respect for officials and condemned harassment directed at other athletes. Those comments were widely reported, yet fans still interpreted them through very different lenses. Some believed they reflected growing frustration with how Clark was being treated on the court, while others viewed them as measured responses from competitors focused on moving forward. That contrast is exactly why these moments continue to dominate conversations long after the final buzzer. By this point, the conversation had grown far beyond one game, one substitution, or even one coach. Caitlin Clark's impact on the WNBA has changed the expectations surrounding every organization she touches. Television audiences have surged, arenas continue to sell out, and national attention follows nearly every Fever game. That level of influence naturally raises a different kind of question, not simply how Indiana manages its biggest star today, but how it plans to build around her for years to come. From a contractual standpoint, the Fever remain firmly in control of Clark's immediate future. Indiana exercised its team option, and under the league's rules she would become a restricted free agent after that contract period. Restricted free agency does not allow a player to leave without Indiana having significant rights, including the opportunity to match qualifying offers under the collective bargaining rules. In other words, there is no indication that a move is around the corner. Even so, perception has become part of the story. Fans look around the league and see franchises investing heavily in ownership, coaching, facilities, and roster construction. That naturally leads to comparisons about which organizations appear best positioned to maximize a transformational superstar's talent. Whether those comparisons are fair or premature, they continue to fuel speculation because Clark is no longer viewed as just another elite player, she has become one of the defining faces of the league's future. In the end, that's why this story refuses to disappear. It isn't really about a single minute's restriction, one timeout exchange, or even the possibility of Los Angeles one day making a move. Those moments simply became the spark for a much larger conversation about what happens when a player changes the direction of an entire league. Every coaching decision involving Caitlin Clark is now viewed through a different lens because the expectations surrounding her are unlike anything the WNBA has experienced in years. Supporters of Stephanie White see a coach trying to protect a franchise cornerstone and make decisions with the long season in mind. Critics see missed opportunities to fully unleash one of basketball's most dynamic playmakers. Both viewpoints continue to exist side by side, and every game seems to provide new evidence for one side or the other. What remains unchanged is the biggest fact of all: there has been no trade announcement, no confirmed pursuit, and no indication that Clark is preparing to leave Indiana. Yet as long as organizations continue building ambitious futures, and as long as every Fever decision becomes national news, the speculation will continue. For now, the conversation is still growing, and the next chapter may depend less on rumors than on what actually happens once Clark is back on the floor. As this story continues to unfold, every game, every coaching decision, and every headline will be watched more closely than ever. If there are new developments, you'll hear about them here first with balanced analysis and the biggest stories shaping the WNBA. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next update. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.